Welcome, AfterBuzzers. On tonight's Queen Sugar After Show, we talk blues new reality, Micah's woke crew, and kisses everywhere. Stay tuned for more.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Welcome. We are back for a wonderful episode of Queen Sugar. This was
Louise.
they turned up a notch. So
They turned it up on us.
exactly.
A couple. Well.
As always, guys, I'm your host Shaka Smith, joined by my lovely co-host.
Well, your favorite Afro-Latina here, Franceli Chapman.
And yes, this was turned up. And the chat is turned up already. I absolutely love
nice.
it.
The
So
chat is
shout
lit.
out to you guys. And it is Takira Shabrae here with you.
Awesome. Glad to have you guys. And let's just get into this one. This was like a nice
Yeah.
episode. What were your overall thoughts?
Overall, I went through a roller coaster of emotions like it usually does. I mean, last week not so much, but this week so much.
Yeah,
Like,
right?
so overall, I was just like, oh, why y'all gotta do this to me? And Dawn was acting her A off. Can we just get an amen
Yes.
for my girl Dawn?
Hallelujah.
Because she was giving me all the feels.
Yes.
Eyes watering and all that. So yeah, I was tugged at the heart, which is what is the heart of this show. They tug at us. So yeah.
Yes.
Great episode.
Ditto to all of that. Like last week I was like, okay, This week I was like, what? On a couple of levels. Like we got, one situation that I don't want to say because I know we're gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
And then we had another situation, the kisses and all that. Like it just emotional roller coaster. And I was like screaming at my TV, which I feel like was maybe the first time for this season. I was like, no, what? No.
Yeah,
And then I had to bring myself back. But great episode.
Yeah, great episode. It was called A Little Lower Than Angels, and I think we had a couple characters acting a lot lower than angels.
Yes.
But
Right.
That part.
let's go ahead and talk about, I guess, blues new reality. Again, Ethan Hutchinson, I love just watching him become alive as an actor.
Yes.
He's giving me all the feels this episode.
Yeah.
What did you guys think, I guess, from the complexity between Ra and Darla, which they're not really talking, and just dealing with Blue, and even that whole situation with Vi and the family kind of shutting Darla out?
It's a tough thing, having to tell, even like we're breaking up, we're not getting married, the divorce, like doing that thing. But I also feel how important it is to show that it's important to do that.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes parents don't do that. It just happens. You hear it from only one parent. I think it's so important for both parents to come together, sit down, and have this conversation. It's gonna hurt no matter what, but I think when you're a united front for the child, it just speaks volumes to the development later. So I'm just thankful that they did it together.
Yeah, and I think we forget that these children are little humans.
Yes.
Because I think the sense was maybe he'll just forget. Maybe he won't really he's fine. Maybe he'll just kind of
Kids soak
They
these
don't
moments
forget.
up, and
Yeah.
they always watch. And kind of piggybacking off of what you said, this is so important in the development of a child. Like the things that you can be 3, 4, 5 and see some type of interaction with your parents and it stick with you and it kind of define how you have relationships going forward, what you think of a woman, what you think of a man. And so I do think, even though I don't necessarily agree, but I think there's strength in co-parenting, like not being together but thinking of the child first. But I'm not gonna lie, when Darla said, as long as Blue's in St. Joe, I'm gonna be in St. Joe. But where do you think he should be? Like, to me, it was kind of like she was still, even with the DNA test us getting the DNA test, I feel like she's still pawning off Blue onto Ralph Angel, and it really, that's a big man. That's a big man.
For me, I think she still thinks of Blue as Ralph Angel, so that's why she said that, because she thinks, you're the father, this is what you decided. But I do feel like pretty soon she's gonna be like, wait a minute, this is my child, because just the way the family's turning her out.
Well, they're already sprinkling that. They're already putting dabbles of that. The writers are already doing that.
Right.
They're setting us up for that, which is fine. It's part of the drama of the television show. But at the end of the day, blood or not blood, this man has been this child's father. And has been there for him when you couldn't be a mother.
Right.
Because you weren't in the right state of mind to be a mom to anyone. And he was there for this. So you can't just take him out and yank him away from the only father he's ever known. So I'm gonna put that there on the table.
Yeah. and didn't you love, at least for me, I saw when Blue talked to Vine Hollywood about not having kids, and that's okay. I love that they kind of sprinkle in different sides of life that really are like so varied, and just having that awakening as a child that, you know, you guys are older. If you don't want kids, who cares? That's fine. That's not what we need to have.
Right.
Yeah. I thought of you actually when I watched this episode, because in my mind I was like, okay, he thinks he's just going up, and Shaka thinks Ralph Angel's just going to up and disown Blue and
right,
all
you did
this.
that.
Yeah.
And this episode was when we saw wholeheartedly his love and his, like, no matter how difficult it is, it's like he'll say bye to Darla and give, you know, 2 Fs whether or not he sees her again in life to keep Blue. And I mean, the tear and all, it's just like, this was my moment for Ralph Angel.
I mean, I still think he had a crossroads moment. No, not that it'll happen, but I think that crossed his mind without it being said. Like,
oh yeah,
I could, you know. But yeah, I do love that we're seeing Ralph Angel, the parent, really kind of hold it down for Blue.
Right.
So, we do have a live read.
Of course. Of course. Well, actually, you know, we don't really have a live read per se, but we just have a favor to ask.
Yes.
Because, you know, this network is pretty important. So, look, AfterBuzzers. So, here at this network, we produce after shows for nearly all of your favorite TV shows, from drama, reality TV, sci-fi, all of that. So, there's no other network that works harder to serve television fans. But we need your help, all right? So we are asking you to please subscribe to one or more of our YouTube channels. It would mean so much. It helps us a ton. But this is what's in it for you, all right? So it caters specific content you already like directly to you, so you don't have to hunt it down. It brings your favorite after shows to you, and it suggests content from other channels or podcasts that you might be interested in. But subscribing to our YouTube channel will also help you discover new shows that we are absolutely sure you will love. So since you're already tuned in to the drama channel, you might also like other shows that we have, like Claws, The Affair, 13 Reasons Why.
The 6 that I'm on.
The 6.
Yes.
And Love Is, which is a new show. If you have not seen it, is on the commercials during Queen Sugar. Go tune in. But remember, we have all of these channels. We have all of these genres too. So please don't be shy when subscribing to them either. If you're worried about those pesky notifications, don't be. They are completely optional. It's easy, all right? Just hit the subscribe button right now for an even easier experience with AfterBuzz. And if you do, comment, let us know that you did, because we would love to give you a shout out afterwards. So thank you so much for being the absolute best fans, and we promise to work our absolute best to serve you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, lovely.
She got that voice.
Yeah.
I'm trying to tell you.
And you're on the 6 next, right?
I'm on the 6 right after this.
And are you on Claws?
I'm on Love Is.
Oh, well,
Yes.
the
13
nails
Reasons
are
Why.
nice. Yeah, I thought you were on Claws. I was like, okay. But you're on Love Is.
Love
Yes,
Is. It's
yes.
great.
I watched it last night.
Shameless plug.
Cool.
Your show.
Nice.
I was watching.
When is that?
Gotta
Tuesday?
support my
Is that
co-host.
Tuesdays, yeah.
Okay, dope.
amazing.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Well, guys, check it out. We love your support.
Yeah.
So, but we do have to talk more about Queen Sugar.
Oh, yes,
and
yes.
one of my favorite lines is Micah's new woke crew. One of my favorite storylines. I love this. Just, you know, watching someone, you know, become woke or kind of get into
Right,
themselves
right.
and
Yes.
navigate that reality. And this kind of revealed one of my favorite storylines. I don't know if y'all had kind of picked up on the food storyline. There was a big
Yes.
storyline, this entire episode about food.
Yeah.
So we'll have to talk a little bit about that
Yes,
too.
yes.
But what were your thoughts about this new wokeness in the crew?
Ooh.
So much, right?
Go ahead.
There's so
Girlfriend.
much to talk about. I mean, I feel like, quote unquote, what does woke mean?
Yeah.
And what does
Yes.
blackness mean? And what does that look like? And all the layers and the textures of it, you know, because there's black people who come from this side of the tracks and the black folks that come from that side of the tracks, and your life experiences and how that informs you and all of that. And so I just felt it was wonderful to even see Charlie's reaction to her own people in her living room.
Yeah.
You know, and because she's like, where's Kiki? And even that, it's like, Kiki's a black girl that I'm comfortable
Yes,
with. These are
I
black
approve.
kids I'm
Yeah.
not comfortable
Yeah.
around. I don't know them, and I'm kind of suspicious of them.
Yeah.
They don't have home training to a particular sense because they got their feet up on my furniture. You know, but then at the same time, it's like, oh, well, they are intelligent because he had something to say about how much it takes to even create the almond milk to
Yes.
begin with. You know, like it was just like, It was so good.
But she was open to it though. Like
yeah, she was.
Like, yeah, she
and
didn't
I
like clap
appreciated
back.
that.
Yeah, she didn't clap back real quick.
Charley usually isn't that open.
Because I was clapping back in my head because I'm vegan, so I was like, what?
Right? What you say about the fact that there's nothing but organic stuff up in this house?
What's wrong with organic? We have to go like vegan local up in here.
But we do have that in the black community of like healthy food and not healthy food, and like praising and prizing unhealthy food, and like kind of pushing other stuff to the side.
And it happens all the time.
We're quick to give praise on that Southern style, high cholesterol,
that mac and cheese.
Can I get a glory on the mac and cheese?
That mac and cheese.
But we're so quick to glorify that. So I agree, but it's so funny because we don't talk about it much, but I'm sure maybe we can all attest to the fact that, and I mentioned this in my other show, so it's weird it's like this, but some parents, black parents, don't want their kids hanging with, quote, black friends. There's like this, some black friends, like there's this self-hate, racist type of situation where it's like, oh, you can be black, but don't be black. You know what I mean? Like, don't be too black. Like, what's wrong with that? Like, that's kind of...
That almost if you've raised a good black child, that they're the exception to the rule, so you want to make sure that you keep them insulated from,
Right, exactly. Especially like my experience being biracial, it's like, having that separation of like, oh, well, do you have white friends or do you have black friends? I'm like, why? I have friends. Like, what's up with good friends and bad friends? But anyway, tangent.
And it well, I think also too, it's interesting because when you have, like you said, a multi-layered, diverse background in how you grew up, like I've been everywhere from Harvard to the Bronx, from Bronx to Macomb, so it's like when my Bronx friends find out that all of a sudden, yes, I'm drinking kale juices and I'm doing, I'm not necessarily going down to the bodega getting a bacon, egg, and cheese anymore, because I cut out red meat. And when I started changing my lifestyle, they try to make it seem like, oh, you real LA now, you real Cali now, And I'm like, but what you don't understand is diabetes has wiped out everyone on my father's side of the family. Yeah. Right before I left New York, I found out my sugar was at the border. And I said, I want to make a choice to live longer. I want to live past 60. Right. My dad didn't. Yeah. And so those are the things, and that's why I love this episode, because it's like, that is what happens in the black community when you start learning about your health and the food that is destroying us and killing us. Yeah. So it's like, okay, I need to make better choices.
And I love it because, like, at first I'm like, of course everything's intentional with Queen Sugar, but I was like, did they kind of just throw that in? But then you see it with Vi in Hollywood and even Blue.
Yeah, it's so strange.
So I love that they ran that food, they ran it through. And then we even saw the difference of food with the Vietnamese family. Yeah. But yeah, just with Micah's woke, but back to the woke crew. We saw them at the plantation and at the prison. So we get more layers to this whole crew. Like, what did you guys think about that plantation showdown? I mean, obviously the guy was correct, but at the same time, you saw the hypocrisy in it, right?
The fact that he said they were taking pictures in shackles.
I personally had when I see reenactments or recreations, and I know it's supposed to kind of really be for us to kind of tell the history, I feel a little like it's exploitive.
No.
So
I mean, I went to school in Virginia, in Williamsburg, Virginia, that still exists, where they... Yeah, and I've never went. I've never gone to that, but I've seen like an art installation that dealt with that, and the purpose was to tell the story, right?
But
it just
educate.
To educate. There's a difference. Like Savannah, Georgia, I'm very close to it. They have homes where they still preserve the Underground Railroad, like where
I just don't like seeing black people as slave actors. It just makes me very uncomfortable.
Like, for what reason? If it's not educational, for what reason? Like, no, even if it is educational, it's bizarre
difficult.
To see.
Got it.
It's difficult.
When you watch someone do a scene over and over, because it's live, so you just watch them do this, and like, sometimes they're crying over the dead child, and you're just like, this feels like it's exploiting the situation. But again, I love that they were also able to. I've been concerned about this crew getting Micah in trouble, but it seems like they're able to pull back and know where their boundaries are.
Oh man,
I agree.
When that little boy was like, oh, you want us to leave?
And
he stepped up.
I was like, don't do that right now. Right now, don't.
I said, this is going to be a hashtag moment. That's what I thought. Like, I was like, oh, man, they're going to call the cops. They're going to get arrested. It's going to be a whole thing. But no, thank God, praise the Lord.
And maybe even in our own expectations that as black people we can be upset and then also say, hey, this is not the time. And then we had, of course, our third big theme is the kissing, the kisses that were just sort of like
over it.
I mean, I guess I saw the Remy and Nova kiss coming, but I also didn't see it coming. Like, you figured
Trifling.
it would stop. And then, of course, we got to talk about Charley and Jacob's kiss. But let's talk about Remy and Nova first.
Everything about it is trifling. I just want to give a shout out to Hampton Blue, although I may not agree. But he says, I'm intrigued, or she, I'm intrigued by Nova and Remy. Imperfect, yes, but real life. Life is not cookie cutter, or as Ava DuVernay just said in her tweet, coloring outside the lines, life is not neat. Listen, I said it last week when I said stuff happens, you can't necessarily control the chemistry that naturally happens, but you have choice.
Yes,
and you can make a different choice. In this case, they're making this choice that I don't necessarily agree with, but Ava DuVernay is right. Life isn't black or white. It gets real gray. The lines get blurred all the time.
But to me, this is even a blurry line. This is like the lines were crystal clear, but Nova, we know you made bad choices, and we thought you were at a point where we're starting to make good men choices. But you just like to go for what you can't really have.
Were they crystal clear though? I don't know. I don't know if I agree that the lines were crystal clear. And Remy was talking that good talk, like
I was just about to say, I agree, but let me play devil's advocate for just a moment. All right, they're both single.
Yes.
I know Remy had his moment.
A few weeks ago, they just kind of like...
Hold on now. Let me play devil's advocate. You meet somebody, they're not for you. You hang it up and you keep it moving.
Yeah.
But they're both single. And yes, Nova has been making bad decisions with her man. But who's to say this is not her finally good decision?
Because it's her sister's ex. That's why. It's her sister's ex.
I
Recent,
get it.
Not even like this was your ex of 10 years ago. This is like your ex right now.
I get it. But, so I'm going to play devil's advocate. Yes, and I'm going to let you finish yours, and then I got one more to kind of come back from that devil's advocate, because I agree with you. And I
thought you guys would be on my side.
I am. I just wanted to play devil's advocate for just a moment. So once you give your devil's advocate, I'm going to give my why I agree with you.
I am on your side, but now what you're saying, I'm going to jump on this bandwagon for a second, too, in the sense of like, hey, it's so like multi-layered, because when you think about it, who am I to get in the way of destiny, right? In a certain degree, because it happens. No, it happens all the time. Like, she wasn't in love with him. That was the thing. Like, he was a good thing. He was the rebound thing after Davis, but she was clearly not as into him as he was into her. We've known that from the beginning.
Right.
Even her own sister knew that, you know. So I think it depends on the circumstances to how and why some people were together and how and why they broke up. Because at times that happens, like friends, like, oh, so let me tell you this. If my homegirl dated a guy in high school, here I am, whatever age I am now, right? That was however many years ago. Right. Here I am later in life, we meet up by whatever circumstances, and this could be the one for me.
Agreed.
Am I not supposed to jump on it?
No, agreed. But like, if that was not your best friend,
he said 10 years versus 2 days.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And if it was your sister, you would still check through, because it was like, oh, that was your high school boyfriend.
It's a little different.
You would still check.
Yeah.
I do want to get my final point on this, because I kind of and I don't know, it could be completely, thinking outside the box here. But remember when I said I didn't kind of trust Remy? Like, I felt like he was in it to get the land or to get, this is his thing. I'm not going to lie, when he was kind of tossing that game, that was just it just drew you in. It was like, oh, I'm vulnerable. You're inspiring me. You're showing me another side of me to write my book. But when he did that, I was thinking, okay, is he just trying to get with his sister to get in where he fits in with the family?
This is a hard press.
Well, and this is his
full
heart.
Press.
Yeah, and farming is his heart. It's his passion. So I kind of, like, at the pit of his stomach, does he feel like he deserved that land in the will over the family?
Ooh.
So
you're taking it to a different level.
You're taking it to and now that I think about it, he's all smoozing up Ralph Angel, like, thank you for letting me bring my students. Seeing a black man who owns his own land, that's real good.
Yeah, he's like the good bad guy. Like,
he's doing intentions.
Because when he brought the composition book, that's when I was like, okay, you had an intention with this trip. Because that was so thoughtful that you were like, so you kind of knew X, Y, and Z. I didn't see this coming, but definitely the way he's planned this out seems really like
I agree.
Because it's been like, what, a year he's been with Charley? And then it's like... So
I don't know.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, what do you guys think? I'm interested. We got like 3 different things vibing right here, so comment all of that. I'm interested.
The only silver lining I will say is I loved the kiss. It looks so comfortable. It looks so easy. It looks so... It made you feel like these two people just kind of naturally belong together.
Yes.
Except for the fact that you don't.
That they don't.
You can't. So
I do like
that's
that.
the rule.
Yeah.
And then of course we had Jacob and Charley's kiss, which was precipitated by this news from Davis, this bombshell news. What did y'all think about that Dawn-Lyen Gardner acting her butt off in that scene?
Let me tell you something about how real it is when you are sitting with that amount of pain and you pick up the phone and you call everybody in their darn mother, and no one answers the phone. Listen, I've been there. You know, where you hit this emotional rock bottom, and honestly, you know, Charley, her character necessarily isn't a woman of faith. So, because I think of, there have been moments where I acted in my flesh, which is what Charley did. You know, it's like I'm trying to find someone and I can't find anyone. So this fleshly moment comes up. Jacob, which I know is no good for me, I run there. Yeah. But sometimes when like no one answers the phone now in my life, I'm like, okay, maybe this is God's way of saying, stop trying to lean on everyone else, lean on me. But that's just personal. Yeah. But again, not trying to preach to y'all. I'm sorry, I had a moment. I'm getting off my soapbox, y'all, because I know people be coming for me in the comments. But yeah, I think that's real. That's like you talked about with Ralph Angel using sex to like we all have different mechanisms of coping, and she tried to use her friends, her family, like try to go to what is secure and safe, and no one was there. And so here was this olive branch to a certain degree that came through. It was like,
eye roll.
Okay, but I'll go. Okay, this seems like a good thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was an olive branch of sorts. I mean, at least when I kind of broke down the kiss with Sally, where I liked the way they kissed and they looked at each other and their eyes were meeting. Yeah. To me, it was a recognition of this is a fleshly moment. Yeah. We're still on opposite sides, but this works for both of us.
You needed, I needed, so we just need to go on.
It was very carnal.
Carnal. It was an acknowledgement of this is the carnal moment, not a I'm going to be in love with you moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Her emotion, because you know she tries to play the strong girl. She's like, oh, I got it under control. This is all in my diabolical scheme.
Yeah,
I'm gonna keep taking shots of Jack Daniels, Hollow, Tennessee.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna keep taking these shots, and I'm just gonna get him all loose and stuff to give me all the tea. Yeah. But she just flip flops back. Yeah, she tried, and we do as humans sometimes. Like we try to be like, no, I'm good, and they just have that breakdown moment. But I just want to mention like her emotion from being full of emotion, the look on her face when she was hugging Jacob, dancing. It's like she was like happy, she was full of emotion, she knew she needed it, but she was embarrassed that she stooped so low, to she broke her strength, to I need to hold it together because I also need to get him on my side, and I'm horny. It's like all of that in one.
And I think all that is true. Like you know, we all have these different emotions when it comes to love and relationships, you know.
Talk about it.
That was cool.
Help me, please.
Oh man. But of course, if you're gonna come for us in the comments, we at least want you guys to rate us highly. So
yes. Listen, come to the comments, subscribe, all of that. But also, we're on iTunes, people.
Yes.
So if you got that good iTunes, get on the podcast, subscribe, give us 5 stars, rate us, all of that, because you can listen to us on the go. If you can't watch us, that's okay. Be on the gym, listen to what we gotta say, and then leave us the comment.
This episode was one to listen to.
This episode is one for lots of conversation. So we'll be on the chat right now and later. So
well, thank you for that.
I want to hear what you gotta say.
Exactly. It does help us out. So we do appreciate you guys when you comment on YouTube and you go to our iTunes. And so do it. And of course, we have our special sections. We got our sweet tweets and our cultural corner tonight. And of course, our predictions coming up.
Yes. So much going on.
So let's go into our sweet tweets.
Yes. Sweet tweets. I know you got them, girl.
Yeah. The one I had was the kid moment. So my sweet tweet is #13kid what? 13-year kid what?
Yeah.
Just dropped the bomb. And the fact that he just up and said He's moving back to LA. He doesn't care what's going on with this mill. He's like, I know I moved here for you and for Micah, but Tia needs me. I'm out.
Wow.
Mine
are there too. At the same scene, when do you hit bottom?
Yes, that was beautiful. Yeah,
Okay.
that was like,
You told Micah before you told me?
That-
Now, listen, I was like, let me write that one down because and then I created my own tweet, my own sweet tweet. Too Fast, Too Furious.
Yes, I loved it.
During Charley and Jacob's kiss, I was like, oh, this is moving too fast, too furious. So I'm gonna go ahead and tweet myself.
I actually kind of had two. Of course, it was Blue asking, "When are you coming back home?"
Oh,
that was just like, because that's the thing they haven't been answering. They haven't been talking about it. So that was a sweet tweet. And then for me, it was really one day at a time. When Ra is recounting to the parolee, I think it's Benny is the name of the parolee. He's telling him how he was in the restaurant and everyone was looking at him, and his father said to him, "One day at a time." It was that moment between him and Benny that, even though this was parolee and Ra had all these sort of fears about having this guy in his home, they were able to connect on that shared experience. So I thought that was important. And now it looks like he's going to be living with him. We'll see what happens there. But I think that's a great segue for our predictions.
Yeah.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV
Can I go first?
predictions.
Color and coach.
Teacher. I got a lot of stuff that I feel. Marianne Jordan said, "Don't get it twisted. Charley definitely noticed the surveyors," and that's what my prediction is about. Like when I was like, okay, there's something shady going on with Jacob. You know, these folks coming in talking about the land. So. You know, we know that a lot of the farmers that are getting kicked off the land is due to mercury that they're finding. I'm like, what if they're planting this? This is exactly what I'm feeling like. I'm like,
Well, the way they looked
You
at Charley,
took
they
it.
were like, kind of, why are you hanging out with her when we on the setup game? Is what it looked like.
So
But,
I feel like there's a whole setup happening there. I'm really predicting that Micah's gonna go off the rails, not necessarily in the most bad way, but I feel like he's not dealing with the trauma of his relationship with his father and the news that has happened. He won't even talk to his mom about it. So I think he's gonna use this new woke situation to really kind of get a hold of that and really rebel. This is gonna be his rebellious time. And I mean, it happens, and I get it, and I understand. So we'll see. Hopefully, it doesn't end him up in too much trouble. Because I really like Micah.
Yeah.
So those are mine.
Mine was the whole mill thing. The fact that they were like, oh yeah, we're working on the southeast, and now we're in the north, and they're just working on the mill. Prediction, definitely planting it on the mill, messing it up.
And we didn't talk much about this, but of course, I think we definitely saw the preview from the next episode, which we've talked about.
Right.
You know, a black woman feeling like you have to work and you can't have any weaknesses. Black men, as a black person, you feel like you can't show that weakness, but sometimes not showing is actually to your detriment.
Yeah.
So I do think Vi is going to fall ill. I'm hoping it's not like a gravely ill, but I do think she's going to fall pretty ill because she's not taking care of herself. I do think we're going to see some real rebellion by Blue, and that might precipitate a Darla deciding to take him out if the family's not willing to work with her on helping what the situation that Blue's gonna I think come into, because there's no way, because you already see he's starting to kind of like he was getting very detached.
He's making his own decisions too, because he's like, I'm going to my room now.
That detachment, and then that he was already acting out before, so I feel like it's gonna rear its ugly head
and Vi ignored the crap out of Darla. And it's just like you guys are also not. Anyway, I agree.
Someone in our chat said yes, she ignored and it was very immature, trying to scroll up and find who it is. So shout out to you. Drop your name.
I think it was Kat Harlem, probably.
Yes,
but is it immature? I mean, it's like immaturity, but at the same time, this was probably the biggest bombshell ever dropped on your family by almost anyone in your recent memory.
Right.
That's a good point.
Like it just like it changes your family.
Right. And let me throw Remy on in that prediction too while we're at it, because I've already spoke my
your truth.
My
on
truth
Remy.
on Remy, but I feel like not next episode, but I definitely feel like the one after that, something's going to happen with Remy, where he's going to probably go off on someone, one of those three, to kind of show his true intentions and his true colors.
I mean, it may not be an issue if Charley takes Nova out. because that might happen.
Dang.
Charley might just,
Jeez.
because she's already been going through the ringer. Charley might just feel like, this is it. I can't do it. Yeah.
Well, we do
That's
have
a
a
heck of
question from one of the folks in the chat. Mary Ann Jordan says, do you think that the writers did this so at the end of season 3, Remy and Charley will have to make confessions about what they both did once they reunite at the end of the season?
I don't see any reuniting between Remy and Charley.
either.
Especially with what she's been through with guys treating her in the way she's been treated. This to me is like almost worse than Davis. You know what I mean?
Right.
Almost. It's like it's getting there. So I don't see any reuniting.
Davis is going kind of backwards. Because to me, the child thing.
Well, but he's not going
Well,
backwards.
actually, no, he
It's just
said
something
it
that
first.
happened
Yeah,
so
it's
many
just
years
something
ago. It's just
happened.
like he revealed it the wrongest
The
way
wrong
he
way.
could.
I think the worst thing was when she said you had a child in our city. Like she's been in LA this whole time.
And
Yeah.
what kind of father are you to how
Live
can
that
I
double
never
life.
like not to just live that double life, but to cast away your child, so to speak? Like that child has to stay in the shadows.
And-
Like what kind of father is that?
And there is sort of that, like, you know, wife, professional basketball or professional player in, you know, sports league where it's like, as long as you're not doing it in my city and embarrassing me, I'm kind of
That's
going to turn a
what-
blind eye.
Hell no.
No, but I
But
feel
some
like
women sign up for that. They're
yeah.
very well aware of what it entails.
No, you're at that point. You need to have a value for yourself.
No,
You know,
but-
who am I? Who am I? I get it. Who am I to judge? It's not my situation.
Right.
But I feel like I would just encourage those women to take a step back and kind
Yeah.
of give a self-evaluation on their value for themselves, because there's nothing that man is giving, or woman, whoever's on the other side, there's nothing that person is giving you that you're not strong enough, capable of to do on your own.
Oh,
so
of
I just
course,
encourage
yeah.
you to do it on your
Yeah,
But
but I
but
think
who am I?
I think for Charley, she was like, "You're not even following like the most basic of rules, though. Like the most
Right.
basic of rules. If you don't cheat on me, do it outside my city.
Right.
Like you really brought it all the way home.
Right.
So I feel for her on that. So we'll see what happens with Charley and Nova and Charley and Davis.
Right.
But we do have a few minutes for our cultural corner. I love that we have a new segment we're going to start, kind of in conjunction with our news. I love that in Queen Sugar they're always giving us little tidbits of
Nuggets.
things that are
Yes.
kind of that we should kind of research and look and figure out who is who. So what do we got, Sid?
Can we call them giving us little seeds, like you know,
yeah,
seed canes?
yeah, cultural seeds.
Seed canes.
Yeah.
Yes, I like that.
My
Well,
2 cents.
you know, when Nova was on the porch and she was trying to get her writing done, you know, Remy comes with his talk.
Yeah,
It's
right.
like, oh, you looking like a real Gordon Parks. Nah, nah, nah. Well, who is Gordon Parks, people? We did celebrate Juneteenth yesterday.
Yes,
Holla.
yes.
Yes, thank you for the freedom of the black folks. I just had to put that in there. Gordon Parks is an American photographer. He is a famous pioneer amongst black filmmakers. He was the first African American to produce and direct major motion pictures. He was he created blaxploitation genre. He is remembered for his iconic photos of poor Americans during the 1940s, taken for a federal government project for his photographic essays for Life magazine, and he was the director of the 1971 film Shaft.
Yes.
All
huge.
right.
Shout outs to Gordon Parks.
Yes.
And then shout outs
Yes.
to like the little shout out they did to Dear White People.
I love that.
When
I
the black
love-
folks were like all in Micah's house and they were like, oh yeah, BSU, which is the Black Student
Black Student Union.
Black
yeah.
Student Union, which, you know, if you don't watch Dear White People, get on Netflix and go make that happen. But yeah, so it was really cool to see that intersection and just to see
cultural moment.
the cultural moment
Yeah.
of like that we're at that place where there's so many good black shows on television that other black shows are shouting out other black shows.
Yeah.
Like it's great. It's awesome. I love it.
Support, because if had we not somebody who's been watching that and like hadn't heard of it, then
Yeah, there you go.
it's another rating.
Yeah,
Keep us up.
and that Gordon Parks photo, because just thinking about who Gordon Parks is,
Mm-hmm.
Remy knew when he delivered that line, Nova would be tickled. Like
Yes.
that would light her.
Such a compliment.
Yeah,
And did you Google it? I mean, come on.
Yeah,
did
like,
you
did
just
you
have it in your
know?
back pocket? Did
Right.
you really know who he was?
Right, exactly.
So we'll see if Remy's up to some scheming and plotting next episode.
Yes.
But again, guys, thank you for joining us.
Thank y'all.
As always, guys, my name is Shaka Smith. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at Shaka Strong.
And you know your favorite Afro-Latina, hang out with me at all things at Selly Hangout. And you can hang out with me right after this for the 6th.
Yeah. And you can find me, Takira Shabrae, on Instagram and Twitter at Takira_Shabrae. Drop the comments below. I love to go back and read them because you guys give so much good insight that we don't. So it's
Yeah.
like having our extended panel. We love it.
Yes.
So thank you for that.
We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.